Obsolete, Mr. Wordsworth.
Lie. No man is obsolete.
It's a cookbook.
Who are we?
When will they take the bandages off?
You're a bad man. You're a very bad man.
This lemon sucker here. He's the most suspicious of the bunch.
My name is Talkie Tina, and I'm beginning to hate you.
I believe you're going my way.
Live from Willoughby at the heart of the Twilight Zone. Here are your hosts, Alex and Tyler, the prestigiously perfect podcast in which we call The Twilight Zone.
What is up, Gnomies? I'm Alex.
And I'm Tyler.
Welcome to the Twilight Gnome Podcast, episode 56. What episode are we going to be discussing this week, Ty?
This week we are discussing the quintessential Nick of Time.
Yes, Season 2, Episode 7, original air date November 18th, 1960. This was written by Richard Matheson and directed by Richard L. Baer, who did 7 Twilight Zones, and I will remind you which ones he has done.
Alrighty.
He did Third from the Sun, Purple Testament, Nick of Time, Prime Mover, To Serve Man, The Fugitive, and What's in the Box.
Wow, so there's a couple of really great ones right there.
Not the one about the Mexican village that gets a gift called The Gift.
Yes, yes.
I still find that funny. Like, once in a while, I go back and listen to some old ones to just see how much we've progressed and stuff like that. And quite a few times you have mistaken what's in the box for The Gift.
The other day I was looking over all the ones I'd rated, and I'm just terrible with the names in general of them. Some of the names just don't fit to me, which I guess is why we have the new name segment. But I was looking over and I was like, why the hell did I give... I don't remember the name of it. It's the one where the guy's on the ship and he was a former like Nazi or something, and then he
Judgment Night?
It was Judgment Night. And I'm like, why did I give it such a high score? I was thinking that it was the Shadow Play one, because I hate Shadow Play. So I was like, why the hell did I give it such a high score? And then I looked up and I'm like, oh, it's that other episode.
That also sucks.
No, it's that one's better than Shadow Play. Shadow Play is just bad.
I also wanted to bring up, last time we did a Richard L. Baer, I forgot to mention during the Prime Mover that I was looking through his IMDb, as I do with all directors and big cast members of the episode, and he directed a shit ton of these videos called So You Want to Be... and it would be whatever, so it'd be like...
Hi, I'm Troy McClure.
Essentially, he just directed a lot of these. So you want to be a plumber. So you want to get a college degree. And just like little like 1940s, 50s videos of like probably black and white. Like,
I wonder how informative they would have been too. Like, so you want to be a plumber, and then like, does just watching the video get you a plumbing degree?
I doubt it, but I bet it would just kind of how to get on the path.
I guess that makes sense. Back in the day before the internet, like people that have no clue maybe go to their local library and pick up a video called So You Want to Be a Plumber?
Right. I think those used to be a lot more common because like a lot of like the early Simpsons episodes, remember in class they're always watching like little videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It seemed pretty interesting. Also, at the top of the episode here, I wanted to say thank you guys all for the support, and please continue to like and subscribe. It really means a lot to us, and I'm thinking about maybe adding a new segment. When people start commenting more, I really want to do like a messages from the fifth dimension. I'll get a little jingle.
Ooh,
and
that'd be fun.
We'll give you guys a shout out. We'll say pretty much whatever, as long as it's not like hateful. We'll say happy birthday to people or whatever you guys want, or read out your comments. We'll start doing that and kind of get more of the community active on here.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
But all right.
We're almost close to 100 at this point. What are we at?
93.
93.
So 7 away and we get 100, and I think we get our own URL. I thought we would be able to do like polls and stuff. Apparently you can't do polls until you get 500 subscribers.
Ooh.
Which kind of stinks, but I can always put polls on the Facebook page if you guys could also go to that and give that a follow and a like.
Yeah.
But we'll jump right into it, Ty. What was your favorite moment of Nick of Time?
My favorite moment was the very end scene when the other couple comes in, and we clearly see that they have not broken the trance that the machine has on them. I really liked the juxtaposition to be like, yeah, it's a happy ending for the main characters that we're following, but this machine affects so many people, and not everyone's able to kind of break out of its allure.
I enjoyed the message of this one a lot. That like you can get stuck in a pattern really easy.
Yep.
And if you allow it to overwhelm you or consume you. I really enjoyed the whole message of this.
I did too, and they did a really clear job of it. Like they illustrated it so well and so perfectly. It's really good message.
We can kind of get into it a little bit right now. I know we feel different about this. I honestly believe that there's nothing supernatural about that machine. The one thing with the guy comes in from the mechanic, that coincidence was pretty crazy, but I honestly think it works better as a story if there is no supernatural, because it's all about like free will.
When I was rewatching the episode, I realized during the wife's speech, she literally states it doesn't matter, and I think that's kind of what the writers are kind of getting behind. It doesn't matter if it's supernatural or if it's not supernatural. The point is its effect on you. Mm-hmm. So I think they intentionally left it vague and up to interpretation. Like, I don't think there's going to be a definitive answer whether it's magical or it's not magical. I would lean more to the magical side, but I like the idea of it intentionally being vague because that's the point. The point is that it's you in control of your own destiny, regardless of if this machine can actually predict the future or not.
I get that, but I'm definitely in the camp that I believe this is all Dawn manifesting this. I do not believe that the machine is magical.
All right.
But my favorite moment, I kind of have two. One was the whole, what, are you going to sit here and just listen to this thing your whole life? I don't know.
Perfect William Shatner, like being himself, like delivered as exactly as you would expect William Shatner to deliver a line.
And 2 weeks in a row of the I don't know.
Yes.
From last week's The Encounter. What are we doing? I don't know. But my favorite moment probably was the waiter there. Y'all come back now here. The first time he says it's kind of funny, but then they come back like 10 minutes later. They only get a nice coffee. They leave. Y'all come back here now.
That was your favorite line from him? Not the fact that he was trying to really sell his chicken fried steak?
That one, I don't know. Just the waiter was definitely funny, but it just seemed like such an NPC thing to say. Like in a video game, no matter what you do, you come in and punch the guy in the face. Y'all come back here now.
I think that's just working in the service industry, like where you have to deal with people so often. Like I found myself doing that. Like back when I used to work at the mall, like I would just use the same line over and over again because you just get on this autopilot mode. So,
y'all come back here now.
We have the technology to rebuild it.
Doctor, what have you created?
I am, for all intent and purposes, AI Serling.
So every week I put a prompt into ChatGPT, come up with a Rod Serling style intro to the episode we are watching.
I promise I'll pay attention this week.
All right, this one's okay. It's nothing great, but this is what I came up with. Mr. and Mrs. Don Carter, newlyweds on a honeymoon detour through small-town America, find themselves stalled not just by car trouble, but by curiosity. Inside a quiet diner, they encounter a peculiar novelty, a fortune-telling machine topped with the head of a devil and a mouthful of mysterious answers. For Dawn, superstitious by nature, the machine offers more than amusement, it offers certainty. For Pat, it begins to reveal something far more troubling, the thin line between faith in the future and surrendering to it. A lesson in dependence, chance, and the illusions of control, just ahead in the Twilight Zone.
I thought that was a really good one. It was very succinct.
That was pretty good, I guess. All right, so every week Tyler and I come up with a few questions for each other, keep each other on our toes while watching said episode. I came up with 3.
I have 5.
Oh, well, go for it then, Mr. 5.
All right. The sign in the mechanics reads, I have not been told is no excuse. No buy, and then there's 4 things listed under it.
There was a whole thing about that on IMDb. I have no idea.
Observing, thinking, studying, and doing. What was the discussion about it on IMDb? It was one of those blink and you miss it sort of things. I can't imagine it.
I can't recall. It was so obtuse that I didn't even really put it on my Inside the Twilight Zone, but I did see that someone mentioned the sign and, like, I don't know, the cumbersomeness of it or something like that. You want to do one more since you have 5?
I'll just do them at the end.
Right. What is the very first number we see in the episode? It's a building number.
726?
729.
It was the bank, though, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was a 6. Are you sure it wasn't?
720. We'll see it in the beginning, but it's 729.
All right. Well, I get half points for getting the first 2, and the 6 is just a 9 upside down, so that was pretty close. I definitely wasn't pulling that out of my ass. All right. My next question: what number does he request the operator reach out to?
1.
18997.
I don't even remember. Oh, from when he calls work?
Yeah, he's calling his office to find out if he got the promotion.
What does the first fortune say?
I think it's before he asks about his job. If you wish.
It's quite possible.
All right. How much did the jukebox cost?
It's either 5 or 10 cents. I think it's 5.
10.
Damn it. What is the name of the diner?
That was my last one. Busy Bee Cafe.
Correct. How much for bacon, eggs, and hotcakes?
That was 70 cents.
Yeah, well, good job.
My last question was, how much were the ice creams?
15 cents.
$1.60.
Jesus.
Right?
You can get a whole bacon, eggs, and pancakes, but ice cream?
And the phone call cost 75 cents. It cost 5 cents more to make a phone call than it did for bacon, eggs, and pancakes.
Yeah.
Some of the pricing just,
that is
wacko.
insane. All right, we'll jump right into the plot of this iconic episode. We open up on a car being towed, and a couple is inside of it, which on IMDb, a lot of people were like, that's actually illegal, you know?
I mean, maybe not in 1960, maybe?
It's very dangerous. But either way, it is a cool way to open the shot because you think it's them driving, and it pans out to the reveal of they're in a tow truck. They enter the garage. He's like, how long will it take? The mechanic says 3 to 4 hours. It needs a new fuel pump. And Don, the gentleman here, says, all right, fine, let's go get some lunch.
As they're walking to the cafe, too, they get the iconic line that I'm now obsessed with, bread and butter.
Bread and butter. What does that mean?
I don't know. I think
That's
it's like when
the second
something
time-
walks between... No, it's not even the second time. I think it's like the third time we've seen bread and butter pop up here.
I know it happened in Horace Ford.
Yeah, and it happened sometime after Horace Ford. Between Horace Ford and this one, there was another bread and butter that popped up. But anyway, I think it has something to do with like breaking your hands. Like if you're holding hands and then like someone comes in between you, or you're trying to avoid getting your hands. I don't know.
Don asks Pat, should I call the office? And we already start to get into a little bit of like their relationship, and Pat's like, no, don't pester them. You're the best in the office. So we get that. This is another little seed that it starts here, because it says you're the best in the office. So naturally, if he is the best, like he claims to be, he would get that anyway. But he thinks that it's like fortune that the thing's telling him that he got it, which I believe that like the truth lied in himself, that he was always worthy of that and he was always going to get it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I like how they plant those little seeds there. And they also plant very early when they arrive at the diner. You see he's got the rabbit's foot,
Yeah,
the
it does
four-leaf clover.
A very close-up shot of the rabbit's foot and the four-leaf clover that was on his keychain.
So they enter the diner. Pat puts a song on the jukebox. They dance. They're like, all right, let's sit here.
They both sit on the same side of the booth, too.
Obviously,
Weird. I know, for framing. Well, I mean, not even for framing.
And also, like, newly, like, you think about, like, when you first start dating a girl and stuff, like, I used to, I mean, now
I
that
think
I've
it's
been married for a long time, I sit on opposite sides, but
it's a lot harder for conversation because then you're, like, turning your neck.
it's definitely for the aesthetics of filming, it makes it a lot easier.
Yes,
but,
obviously, but yeah.
Yep, so they sit down and go, oh, look at this, a little mystic seer. What should we ask it? And then Rod brings us in.
The hand belongs to Mr. Don S. Carter, male member of a honeymoon team en route across the Ohio countryside to New York City. In one moment, they will be subjected to a gift most humans never receive in a lifetime. For 1 penny, they'll be able to look into the future. The time is now. The place is a little diner in Ridgeview, Ohio. And what this young couple doesn't realize is that this town happens to lie on the outskirts of the Twilight Zone.
I love how Rod has a bunch of pennies out in front of him as if he's asking the Mystic Seer questions. You notice that?
I was completely focused on the cigarette in his hand the entire time because I just can't remember a time where it actively shows him smoking a cigarette during the openings. I know it happens sometimes, but usually it's like in his hand, but like it's down by the side or something like that.
Did he actually take a drag off of it?
I don't think so, but for some reason this just seemed a lot more prominent. I don't know.
Maybe it was a little like tight corners in the booth, so you'd notice it a little bit more. But
a lot of times when there's Rod intros, there's no cigarette at all.
yeah, I think in the first,
Like, more
or
often
at least
than not.
Obviously in the first season he wasn't in it, but in the second season, I think he kind of used it as like he wasn't kind of like a
Like as a crutch.
yeah, because he was nervous about being on camera and stuff. But God damn, does he look fucking cool. Doesn't he? Smoking's cool, kids. You do look a lot fucking
It does
cooler.
look cool.
Fucking compared to like vaping or something stupid like that. Fucking it's pretty badass. Get him
But
a butt.
I was wondering where it was so prominent in this one. I was like, maybe it was like a advertisement tie-in or something.
Quite possibly. The waiter comes over. They order. Do you remember what they order?
They order a sandwich with just tomato and lettuce.
It's like a BLT without bacon.
Yeah, there's like no meat in the sandwich. And then it's like, maybe that's why the sandwich was so cheap, because I think it was like 60 cents for a sandwich.
Yeah. But pretty much, and then the guy's trying to push the country fried steak really hardcore, but he will not take it. And then he takes a sip of the water and just bad talks the water. Oh, this water tastes like fucking shit.
Yeah, I hardly ever taste water that's tap water that tastes bad. Like, I don't know if I'm an outlier here, but most just water's water. Unless it's overly irony.
I think here on the East Coast, we have a lot better water than, like, the interior of America.
Because this is supposed to be in Ohio.
Yeah, which you'd think maybe they'd have, like, Great Lake reservoir water, but
yeah,
who knows. Don gets some pennies. He asks if he'll be promoted, and the thing says, it's been decided. I'll phone him then. So he goes.
Well, it says it's been decided in your favor.
Yes.
If it just said it's been decided, be like, well, I guess we'll never know.
He goes and he calls his job, and wouldn't you know, he got it. And then I have this. Doesn't Pat look like Cillian Murphy with a wig?
Who's Cillian Murphy?
The guy that played Oppenheimer there, and he's in.
She looks
Peaky
nothing
Blinders.
like Cillian Murphy.
She looks quite a bit like Cillian Murphy with a wig.
No.
What do you think, listeners? I think so.
I think you're on crack. Yeah, and it's at this time where he's making the phone call to his office that we get that close-in shot that you were talking about earlier with the rabbit's foot and the
four-leaf
clover, which just really kind of builds more to his character, Don's character, as a very superstitious person that kind of believes more in luck and fate more so than his own ability to control his own destiny.
True. And then Pat says, I told you you'd get it. And he's like, well, so did he. Obviously alluding to the devil
Mystic
character.
Seer.
The Mystic Seer, correct. Yes, thank you. He's like, let's play something to celebrate. The food comes. And again, the waiter, steak would have been better than this. And Don says, all right, let's ask it something else. And I'll play a little bit of this because this is when he first kind of like starts asking it, and you can see that the tension starts to build.
You ain't gonna like this as much as you would that chicken fried steak.
We'll bear up. Will I become rich? I know the answer to that one, too. I'm going to be the world's first millionaire accountant.
Office manager.
Right. Is it really going to be 4 hours before we get out of here? You may never know. What does that mean?
Who knows?
He does. You mean something will keep us from knowing? Something will happen to us? If you move soon.
I see what you mean by the Cillian Murphy thing now.
Right? Also, what was it? She said something. Oh, yes, it was he says, I'll be the first millionaire accountant. And she says, office manager. Do you think, like, he wouldn't forget what he did for a job? You think that was, like, William Shatner as the actor forgetting what his character did for a job and her reminding him, and then they just left it in the take?
No, I was thinking it more as like she's wanting him to aspire to be more, like being an accountant's not good enough. You'd want to be the office manager.
But I think
of
it
the
actually did
accountant
say
firm.
office manager first earlier in the episode. When he comes back, he's like, I'm going to be the youngest office manager. And then later he says, I'm going to be the first millionaire accountant. And she goes, office manager.
Maybe. Could be.
I think it was like a fuck up on Shatner, and she corrected him, and they left it in.
Oh,
That's what it sounded like to me, at least.
Maybe, yeah.
You said you wanted to say something about the waiter?
Yeah, so when the waiter drops the food down for them, and he insists that they should have ordered the chicken fried steak, William Shatner replies with, "We'll bear up," which is an expression I've never heard before. I'd understand if he meant to say, like, we'll bear with it, or, like, we'll manage, but I've never heard the expression bear up, and all I could think of was... in one of the later seasons of Community, they accidentally make a party themed around bears, and they try to like retheme it to be like bear down for midterms. And I'm like, well, bear down's a term, but I've never heard of bear up.
I don't know. I think he made like, well,
weird
suck
tangent.
it up type of thing.
Yeah.
But Don keeps asking questions, and already Pat's kind of like, I guess I'm going to have to be the frugal one in this relationship. And he keeps asking and asking, should we stay here till 2:30? And it says, definitely. 3 o'clock. There's no question about it. And Pat wants to go for a walk, but Don, we can already see he's kind of like beating around the bush.
Let's order some ice cream. And
he's stalling hardcore. He's trying to pull a filibuster so he can stay there. So he's definitely afraid something is going to happen at 3 o'clock, so they do go outside and they are about almost hit by a car, and he sees that it's 3 o'clock. If he had just listened to Pat in the first place, they would have been out of there at like 2:30, and that wouldn't have happened anyway. So
exactly,
it's like he's making this happen.
The car part is definitely a point in the favor of it just being a machine and not magical.
Right. But when they're walking outside, she's like, you aren't still really thinking about that Mystic Seer, right? He's like, but all the answers fit. Like, they're all vague. It's like when you go see like a fortune teller or like someone who claims to be a psychic, like they're all so vague they could literally be the answer to anything.
Exactly. If you give a vague enough response, then anyone can kind of interpret it in the way that they want to. So,
right.
Oh, and then it's while they're it's at this point too when they're outside that I get one of my favorite lines from Dawn where she kind of doesn't believe him, and he's kind of like, after he says the whole it all makes sense, he says, stop treating me like a retarded child.
Yeah, apparently Rod got a letter for that one because someone was like, you shouldn't use that word and stuff, and he's like, I didn't write this episode, but I know Richard Matheson and he's a good man and he wouldn't mean anything by it. And I'll play a little bit of this because they go outside and it's just kind of Pat laying it on thick that he's always kind of been superstitious, and he takes it very personally.
Suppose I'm just being stupid.
No, you're not. You're just...
Don't say it. Superstitious. It's like you married an alcoholic, isn't it? Only instead of bottles in the chandelier, it's rabbit's feet and four-leaf clovers in my pockets, in the car.
And you're all mine.
This whole time, Don's like looking around. He's very paranoid, so he definitely believes this thing. He still keeps going on about the 6 straight answers, which again really aren't 6 straight answers. They cross the street, almost get hit by a car, and it was 3 o'clock exactly. Don wants to go back to the cafe at this point, and Pat agrees. They go back in, but someone's at the booth this time, and so they sit at the bar. And then again, Pat just is like, you don't really think that thing can tell the future, can you? They order an iced coffee, and Pat tells Don he made all these things up. I know I just played that clip, but I want to play this because this is probably like the quintessential clip to play.
The one where she kind of lays it all out,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Exactly when that machine said it.
Don, you said 3 o'clock, not the machine. You decided to sit in here as long as we did. You. Oh, this is ridiculous. Can't you see that you made up all the details, and all that thing did was give back generalities?
What are you getting so upset about?
You? That you could even consider the possibility of...
Excuse me.
Yes?
Can you give me some pennies?
Oh, sure.
The people that are in the booth leave, and Don goes to see the Mystic Seer again. And he's like, did you know about the car almost hitting us? And he's talking to it as if it is a real-life person, which is kind of crazy.
And the whole time, she's kind of getting more and more paranoid about his mental stability at this point. He's kind of spiraling.
I like how in both Shatner episodes, he is just like on the verge of like mental breakdown. He's going crazy. He definitely plays that one well. Do you think we'll reach New York now? And
we're going to live on the East Coast. We're going to live on the West Coast. Will we even live in America?
And then Pat says, Don, you could get these same answers from any of these. She's like, yeah, the same kind, but not these answers. Dawn asks if the car will be done soon, and it says that it's been taken care of. And this is the one that would be an extreme coincidence, because pretty much instantly the mechanic comes and he's just like, hey, the part actually did come in. You guys are all set to go.
Yeah, but again, coincidence is also a possibility.
Right. Then I liked this one a lot. Pat asks the machine a trick question. She asks, are
we going to a town that we're not supposed to even drive by? And it replies with, if that's what you want.
Which, it was smart on her point of view, because it could have come out as yes, you'll make it there or whatever, and she could have obviously made her point of, see, look, fucking...
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I'm still in the camp that it's not a supernatural thing, but
Or perhaps it can think for itself like a human would, but is savvy enough to, even if it doesn't actually know the future, to kind of pull one over on people.
Right. And then Pat even asks, like, it's not possible to tell the future, is it? And at this point, Dawn's like, you're afraid of it. And then she's like, no, I'm afraid of you. Dawn keeps asking it questions. And she was like, Dawn, let's go. Let's get out of here. And he's like, no. And she's like, what, are you just going to stay here? I don't know.
I don't know.
Are you just going to sit here and let this thing run your life? It doesn't matter if it can tell the future. Pretty much, you create your own future, kind of like the whole Doc Brown.
The future isn't written yet. You make it what you want to make it, so make it a great one.
It is cheesy, but I really like her speech at this point is really good.
Yeah, and then she kind of ends it off with, he asks, well, wouldn't you want to know even if it's true? And she said, especially, like, I wouldn't want to know especially if it's true. Like, and knowing is not the important thing. The important thing is just facing the future unknown and making it your own.
Yeah, I have it written down here. She says, Pat says, I don't want to know what's going to happen. I want to make it happen, which I kind of like that.
Yeah.
She starts crying, and he's like, all right, fine. Let's go. Let's go get the car. And then he like starts big talking the machine. We'll go where we want. When we want. Like, machine's not a fucking inanimate object, dude.
Well, to him, it's not.
I thought that was funny when he starts big talking the machine. They leave,
and then in comes couple number 2 that we find.
Not before a come on back now, yeah.
Come on back now, yeah. Yes, and then another couple walks in, and they sit down at the exact same booth that Pat and Dawn were sitting at, and we see that they, unlike Pat and Dawn, have been
stuck in this
rut. The allure of the Mystic Seer.
It reminded me of It's a Good Life, that ending of, like, even though for Pat and Dawn it's going to be good, these people are stuck in this hell. And I got really creepy at that point. I really enjoyed that.
Yes.
And the whole, is it okay to ask questions now? Can we leave Ridgeview today? Is there any way out? That was I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I like that too. Definitely added a cool spooky vibe to, I mean, it's already had the spooky mystical fifth dimension element, but this kind of topped it off. Yeah.
And then Rod takes us out.
Counterbalance in the little town of Ridgeview, Ohio. 2 people permanently enslaved by the tyranny of fear and superstition, facing the future with a kind of helpless dread. 2 others facing the future with confidence, having escaped one of the darker places of the Twilight Zone.
And that is our episode. Tyler, what did you learn?
Yet again, if I've said it once, I'll say it again. If you're ever holding hands and something breaks you apart, chant bread and butter.
All right, we'll jump right into ratings. IMDb currently has this at an 8.3 out of 10. I think we're going to be on the same page.
I think we are as well.
All right, you want to try it?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 8.5. Perfect.
Yep.
This is a very good episode.
It was. I mean, like you said early in the beginning of the episode here, great message about embracing the uncertainty of the future and kind of like choosing to make your own destiny. They made it really clear. And great pacing, too. Fun Twilight Zone eerie vibes mixed all throughout it. And excellent ending showing that second couple.
Agreed. I mean, like you said, everything about this episode is... Obviously, it's not a 10, but...
I was going to say, obviously, it's not a 10, so there's some things that are just, I don't know. I
think it's just missing not spooky enough.
Yeah, maybe it's just missing that certain je ne sais quoi, but...
A very good story.
Yes, for sure.
Definitely probably like top...
It's in my top 20.
It might not make... It might be just shy, but it might be in top 20. But also, if someone said this was their favorite, I could be like, okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
Who are they? Where are they? What are they? Let's find out together in the Twilight Gnome presents Inside the Twilight Zone.
All right, so this week we have William Shatner. He played Don. Obviously, everyone probably knows him as playing Captain Kirk in Star Trek. Pretty much
something on the wing.
Yes, and he was also in 2 Twilight Zone episodes, and Nightmare at 20,000 Feet was one. It's like, again, I'm not really like talking shit about Nightmare. It is good, but I just don't. It's definitely the most overrated episode of the Twilight Zone.
I just don't watch it a lot because it creeps me out.
But I would say Nick of Time is the better Shatner one.
I would agree.
But they are both very good episodes. On top of playing Captain Kirk, obviously he's made many, many cameos and things as Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk. Not from Ratchet and Clank, but from Star Trek. He was in The Big Bang Theory, Futurama. He was in one episode of The Outer Limits in the 60s as well. 2 Hitchcock Presents, 1 Playhouse 90. And he was the Priceline negotiator.
I'm surprised you didn't say he was in Miss Congeniality. That's a pretty big movie he was in.
I've never really seen it.
You've never seen it?
No.
It's a really good movie.
You always like those chick movies.
It's a good movie. You should give it a shot.
I'll try it. Then we have Patricia Breslin. She played Pat. She actually stopped acting in the late 60s, but she didn't die until 2011, so I don't know. She just was sick of...
Wonder if she met Cillian Murphy.
Maybe it's his mom.
Is her last name Murphy?
Well, it would be the dad's
that's
name
true.
anyway, right? So
yeah, maybe. Cillian Murphy British?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Maybe?
I don't know. I don't know why I thought he was, but...
I don't know. There's certain actors like that like...
do a really good job of doing accents where you can't really...
That, and he's played characters that have American accents and English accents.
Yeah.
Trying to think, like, there's some people that like talk and they have a British accent and like, holy shit, he's a British guy, and I totally like just from movies assume that he was an American. But
yeah.
But anyway, Patricia Breslin was also in 2 Twilight Zone episodes. She was in this and No Time Like the Past, the season 4 episode, and she was in a lot of episodes, but just like 1 episode from 1949 to the late 60s when she stopped. Then we have Guy Wilkerson. He played the counterman. He was in.
Did you pick him just because you loved the counterman character?
I mean, I'd say he's the 3rd biggest in this.
Maybe.
Who? The mechanic? He has more lines than the mechanic.
Yeah, I guess the mechanic, him, and the other couple that enter.
Yeah. But anyway, Guy Wilkerson, he played the counterman. He was in lots of movies from the late 30s to 1971 with over 200 credits, but nothing major. A shit ton of westerns. Someone said in the things that he played like 60% of his roles were westerns, which... I mean, obviously, we weren't around back then, but in the 30s and 40s, like, westerns were huge.
It's what happened was they made so many of them, people just got sick of it. It's gonna happen to the superhero movies where, like,
it already did.
Since 2000, they've been making superhero movie after superhero movie. People are getting sick of it, and they're just gonna switch to a different genre. I bet at some point, maybe cowboy movies will come back into fashion.
Oh, you think so?
I think there's some pretty good ones like Hateful Eight. Some of them a lot of them are just remakes of older ones like Magnificent Seven and stuff.
Richard Matheson wanted Patricia to reprise her role as Shatner's wife in Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, but obviously that did not happen. But it would have been cool if it was like a continuous, like, this guy's just fucking nuts.
That would be fun to think of it as a continuation of this earlier story. That would be a fun idea.
The title was a pun because Old Nick was like a nickname for the devil, so Nick of Time and the devil on the thing.
Never heard the devil referred to as Nick.
Really?
Never.
And surprisingly, there was just not a lot of trivia on such an iconic episode for this episode anywhere. But in total, this cost $43,263. The director received the usual $1,250, and the cast received $4,950, which is pretty good because it was not a giant cast, and Shatner wasn't really big at this point. This is
Star
still
Trek wouldn't start for
another like
more
8 years.
Yeah.
So.
What'd you say your name was?
What's in a name, Mr. Benedict, really? It's a mere question of semantics. Just language. A mere stretch of words.
So every week, Tyler and I come up with a few alternative titles to the episode we are watching, and this week I have 5?
I went a little overboard. I made 9.
Holy crap. All right, go for it.
All right, I'll start with my debacle. I got the Destiny debacle.
I have the Devil debacle.
I have Delusions of Destiny.
I have The Devil Made Me Do It.
I have Ask Me a Yes or No Question.
The Power of Suggestion.
Your Destiny is Your Own.
Dawn and the Devil versus Destiny.
The Future Isn't Written.
A Penny for My 2 cents.
Written in the Cards. And I have Que Sera Sera.
I like the Written in the Cards, and I like my...
the double D one's Devil.
No, I like my A Penny for... A penny for my 2 cents.
I like your Devil and Dawn and the Destiny.
Dawn
one.
and the Devil versus Destiny.
Yeah, very alliterative.
I like your what's it? There's
written
something
in the cards.
Yeah, I kind of like that one. Switcheroos. I have 4 or 5.
I have 4.
All right, you go first.
What you need.
Yep, I got that. The Whole Truth.
No. Penny for your thoughts.
Yep. The Passerby.
No. Thing about machines.
What's in the Box.
Printer's Devil.
Stopover in a Quiet Town.
Yeah. All right, so quite a few references here with this episode where it is such a famous one. And I'm going to start off with a reference that, for those of you listeners who have watched our video about the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, you already know this one.
And if you haven't, you should definitely go and watch that.
You
give
should.
It a big old like.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Find it somehow
on our channel.
On our channel. That's how
the
YouTube
Twilight
works.
Gnome.
Yeah. So anyway, the Mystic Seer device that is in this episode is a prop in the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror.
I kind of want to get one of those for the studio here.
I think they would be fun. I think this is such an iconic looking piece of
like obviously it probably wouldn't spit out cards, but just having the thing here.
Yeah, and I probably would have the devil's head should probably bob at least.
For sure. You go over and do
Yeah,
its
just
chin just like the what's his face does. Don does the whole episode.
Right. And then we also have a 2005 episode of Monk, for anyone that's seen Monk. The episode's called Mr. Monk Gets Cabin Fever, and in that, the character of Randy likens his fortune cookie experience to this episode. Then there's a 1995 movie starring Johnny Depp and Christopher Walken that uses this exact same title of Nick of Time. It's not really related to this episode, but they have a name in common.
They share the title.
And then a 2002 episode of SpongeBob called Club SpongeBob, in which SpongeBob, Patrick, and eventually Squidward all fall prey to falling for the Magic Conch, who Magic Conch tells them all their fortune and tells them what to do.
That is a very good reference. That is very similar to this.
Oh, Magic Conch, what should we do? Nothing. And then last but not least, there is an episode of American Dad from 2014 called Vision Impossible, where Roger can suddenly gains the abilities to see the future, and the entire family is obsessed with asking him what they should do. They kind of stop living for the moment and living with free will, and because they know that Roger knows exactly what's going to happen, and to the point where like they're afraid to leave the house and everything like that, they kind of freak out. So yeah,
decent. All right, so every week Tyler picks the episodes, and he does so by showing me an AI-generated picture. I play a little game where I have to guess what it is, and I think we are back to our original format. This was the first one?
This was the first one of it.
And what was this?
This was a time. It's about time. It's
Not
about
really.
It's about the time. Yeah, it's about time.
All right, I'm hoping for an alien one, but I have no idea what.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Is it Long Live Walter Jameson?
It is. This was so freaking hard to create an image for. Like at first I was like, oh, a picture of the same man over and over throughout time, and then the AI did not understand that.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I remember liking this episode.
It's interesting. It's a lot like Death of Queen of the Nile.
I think this one's better than Queen of the Nile from memory.
I will hold off on my opinion so I don't give too much away.
They even stole the shot of him disappearing.
Yeah, turning into dust.
Yeah. I do remember this one a lot. He's a history professor and he's dating someone's daughter or something.
Yeah.
I remember liking this one. I'm kind of excited to watch it.
All right.
Next week, Long Live Walter Jameson. That's season 1, I believe, correct?
Yes, that is season 1.
Cool beans.
Long live Walter Jameson. Walter Jameson won't live long.
Almost.
Messed up our own song.
Yeah. All right. A little bit of housekeeping. If you guys could please continue to like and subscribe. It means the world to us. And like I said earlier, I would really like to start a new segment called Messages from the Fifth Dimension. So go on and leave us some comments so I can read them out if you want a shout out or anything.
And don't forget, we have an email address at twilightgnome59@gmail.com. Please send me an email.
And send Tyler all your scandalous photos.
If I get a scandalous photo, I will keep it discreet.
Jeez. Just a can of it naked. All right. Well, my final question for you, Tyler. I have 3 written down here. One of them I already asked you. Do you think the devil is actually supernatural or not? I'm still in the camp that it is not.
I'm leaning towards that it is supernatural. If not being able to tell the future, at least sentient to be able to mess with the people to make it think that it can tell the future. Yeah, I think more so that end, but I mean, like Pat said in the episode, it's kind of irrelevant to the main heart of the story. But yeah, if I had to pick, I would say it's somewhat supernatural.
All right. My second question, does this count as one of the devils? Should there be 5 devils, not just 4?
Guess it depends on if you think that it's actually the devil controlling this and knowing the future. If you think it's just an inanimate object, then it's not a devil. True. It's just an object.
Right. Yeah, I'm in the camp of, and it's not a humanoid thing.
Well, if the devil possessed it and the devil had the knowledge of the future and then was intentionally feeding it to these people to make them
the devil
insane,
would have more nefarious things to do than...
Well, I mean, they trapped this one couple in some small town in Ridgeview, Ohio.
I wonder if Ridgeview, Ohio is a real place.
It is. I googled it.
It is?
Yeah.
Do they have a little diner called Busy Bee?
I could not find it because I was looking for it. I was like, oh, I wonder if they have a diner that has the same name. And no. But it is a real town, though.
We should go open one. Busy Bee Diner.
Go live all the way in Ohio.
Yeah. All right, and my final question. You could ask it one question. If you're in the camp of believing that it actually is correct.
How far into the future?
Which you said that you do, so you can ask it one question. What are you asking it?
Yeah, but it gives such vague answers. And it has to be a yes or no. Will I find true love?
All right. I would be tempted to be like, will I live to see this age or something like that, but I also would not want to. I don't know if I'd want to know.
But the answer it's going to give you is going to be so vague anyway. Like, even if you ask it, will I live to be 80, it could say something like, that depends. And like, some like bullshit answer. I'm like, well, that was unhelpful.
Will this podcast ever see 1,000 subscribers?
Perhaps.
Quite possible.
Maybe someday.
It has been decided in your favor. Well... Until then, next week we have Long Live Walter Jameson. Can't wait to hear from you guys so we can hopefully have a new segment next week.
And don't forget, if you're listening to this on Spotify, be sure to give us a 5-star review because we are
a 5-star show.
I forgot the rest of the stuff you usually say to endorse this at the end.
Yeah, pretty much. You've already stated it. The email address, the Facebook page, the liking and subscribing on YouTube is huge for us. Sharing with your friends on any community boards or anything would mean the world to us. But until then, Tyler, do you have anything to say to our dear, dear gnomies out there?
Yes. Thank you all for stepping to the Twilight Gnome with us.
Y'all come back now.
It's 4 o'clock.